Hello and welcome to this special episode of the Rainbow Roundtable. I'm your host, Dr. Dan Sheridan, lead psychologist for No Reservations and Safe Schools mental health consultant. Today we delve into a discussion filled with both gravity and hope as we reflect on recent events here in Florida surrounding the infamous Don't Say Gay bill and its significant impact on our LGBTQ+ students, educators, and families. This episode comes on the heels of a pivotal moment. A settlement reached on March 12th between the state of Florida and LGBTQ+ families, marking a critical point in our ongoing quest for inclusivity and justice. Over the past 2 years, our commitment at Safe Schools has been steadfast. We've mobilized through rallies, engaged communities, and led students in marches to the very steps of the Capitol in Tallahassee, shining a light on the discriminatory nature of this legislation and defending the rights and dignity of LGBTQ+ individuals within our educational system. Thanks to these efforts and the relentless spirit of our community, we've seen remarkable advancements. Free expression restored. Students and educators can now openly discuss and explore issues of sexual orientation and gender identity free from the shackles of censorship. Anti-bullying protection strengthened. We've enhanced the safety nets within our schools, ensuring every student learns in an environment free from harassment. Gay-straight alliances protected. These crucial support groups can now thrive, recognized for their vital role in fostering community. Classroom references clarified. The rich diversity of LGBTQ+ lives can now be woven into our educational narratives, promoting a culture of inclusivity. Non-discrimination assured. The dark cloud of discrimination that loomed under this law has been dispelled, affirming the dignity of all students and families. Extracurricular activities protected. LGBTQ+ clubs and events will continue with a pulse for life, nurturing a sense of belonging and community among our youth. In today's discussion, we will dive deep into the origins of the Don't Say Gay bill, explore the reactions from communities and lawmakers, and highlight how Safe Schools has been sounding the alarm from the very beginning. But first, I'm honored to introduce our panel of distinguished guests, each a fierce advocate and ally in the fight for equality and justice. This is Scott Galvin. He is the Executive Director of Safe Schools and the longest-serving LGBTQ+ elected official in Florida. Scott, what are your first thoughts about this historic moment on Don't Say Gay?
I was taken aback. I didn't expect that we would reach this moment for several more years. I'm a political realist, so I was looking at how districts are drawn and conservative legislators from here and there, but it didn't occur to me that there might be a court settlement that sort of brought a quicker end to some of the confusion. So I was pleasantly surprised.
Absolutely. Thank you, Scott. And we have Tiffany Williams, the Director of Outreach for Safe Schools. She hosts the popular podcast, Tiffany Explains It All. Tiffany, so Don't Say Gay. Explain it all.
Oh man, that's a loaded question. I mean, when that law came into action, I think there was so much fear for not just the students that were affected by this, but also the teachers and the families that are part of this community. And being afraid of are we going back in time? Do we have to now go back, into the closet? And now that we finally, after 2 years having to go through this struggle and fighting for literally our right, we finally have a win for our LGBTQ+ community. And I'm really looking forward to the conversation today.
Absolutely. I look forward to hearing more about what you have to say.
Thank you.
And then we have Artemis Cruz, a high school student in Miami-Dade County Public Schools. Artemis, the news of the state settlement on Don't Say Gay. What was the reaction from LGBTQ+ students?
I don't think there has been a lot of a reaction because a lot of students still haven't heard or don't understand exactly what's happening. So this space discussing and informing people of the settlement is really useful for students and teachers.
Thank you, Artemis, for sharing that. And we have Kylie Summers, a teacher here in South Florida. Kylie, you're in the trenches on Don't Say Gay. What have your colleagues said in the first days after the settlement?
My name is Kyle. I use series pronouns. No worries. Happens all the time. I think we are still trying to navigate what this actually means. The settlement in 8 pages says a lot. And until districts produce guidelines, we don't actually know how any of this will be operationalized in classrooms.
Thank you, Kyle. And we have Harold Marrero, the COO of Safe Schools and a pastor. Harold, I imagine the state settlement on Don't Say Gay was exciting news at Safe Schools and for your mission of equality for students and teachers. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm just really happy that we can say gay again. And my thoughts are, that this, even though it's a big win for us and it's something that we've been looking forward to, I think that there's still a lot of confusion around it and something that we need to work more together to, dispel some of like what the language is and what actually will be allowed in schools and what won't be allowed in schools. Because now, this has to go through a process with the school system, and who knows what they're going to do. So I think the fight's not over, but this is a major win for all of us. So I'm very happy about that.
It's just the beginning.
Yes.
Thank you, Harold.
Yes.
So thanks to all of our insightful introductions. It's truly an honor to have such passionate individuals here today. In the shadow of the continuous expansion of the Don't Say Gay law throughout 2022 and 2023, alongside a barrage of other anti-LGBTQ+ legislation, Safe Schools has been an unwavering beacon of hope and resistance. As these laws have sought to silence and marginalize, Safe Schools has been diligently working to ensure that the voices of the queer community are not only heard, but amplified. Amidst this legislative onslaught, Safe Schools stood firm, leading the charge by educating teachers and parents across the state of Florida through virtual meetings. These sessions provided a safe space for dialogue, learning, and support, countering the misinformation and fear propagated by the new laws. Furthermore, in 2022, Safe Schools hosted our last Empowerment Day for the LGBTQ+ youth, a testament to our commitment to these young individuals' rights and well-being. Despite Miami-Dade Public School withdrawing support in response to Don't Say Gay, we pressed forward, refusing to let the law silence the spirit and pride of our youth. But our efforts didn't stop at the borders of Florida. Recognizing the national and international implications of this fight, Safe Schools has been proactive in doing media interviews across the globe, setting the record straight on how these laws negatively impact our youth and their educational environments. Our message is clear. Discrimination has no place in our schools or society. Throughout the continual challenges of 2022 and 2023, Safe Schools has found creative ways to resist the slew of discriminatory laws emanating from Tallahassee. Recognizing the power of education and visibility, Safe Schools has expanded its digital frontiers to educate, entertain, and empower. Tiffany Explains It All and The Tea with Eddie are prime examples, engaging shows that provide a queer lens on popular culture and delve into the historical, political, and social threads of the queer history. These programs are not just content. They're lifelines, offering perspectives and stories that resonate with queer youth and allies alike, reaching audiences far beyond Florida's borders. Moreover, our collaboration with Happening Out Television Network for this very platform, the Rainbow Roundtable, stands as a testament to our commitment to bringing crucial discussions to the forefront. This partnership has extended our reach, allowing us to engage with over 500,000 viewers worldwide and ensuring that our message of inclusivity and empowerment echoes across the globe. But perhaps most impactful has been our Queer History 101 series, a direct counter to censorship and silencing attempts. This educational initiative shines a light on the significant contributions and stories of queer figures throughout history, ensuring that students receive a well-rounded education, regardless of legislative barriers. Through these initiatives, Safe Schools has not only countered the wave of discriminatory laws, but has provided a platform for hope, learning, and empowerment. We continue to stand by our youth, parents, and educators, offering resources that enlighten and unite, even in the face of adversity. So panelists, in light of these efforts by Safe Schools and others, I'd like to hear your thoughts on the power of digital platforms as tools for education and resistance. What other resources have you found effective in supporting queer youth, parents, and educators? And how do you see these digital initiatives evolving in the face of ongoing legislative challenges?
Well, I'm just gonna come on and say, like, I think that what Safe Schools truly had that was key during this time was our leadership with Scott, where I one of the things that I could do during that time was that I can create things. I'm a creative person, and the way that I can resist is through being creative. And I went, Scott called me. He's like, "What can we do? What can we do about this?" And I just said, "You know what? I'm just gonna go all out and say, this is what we can do." And Scott said, "Let's do it." And just having that vision and really setting up Safe Schools to be a organization that responds in the digital world, where they can't shut us up, where they can't say, "No, you can't say that, you can't do this, you can't do that," I think it has really propelled us and put us in the place that we are today. And it allowed us to continue to be with students, to continue to be with young people, to continue to address issues, and also educate and do fun programming for kids that were facing such dark clouds in their everyday lives. And that was, for me, that was my way of resisting. That was my creative ways of standing up for this. And I'm just very lucky to have had such, great leadership that saw the vision, got on board with the vision, and pushed the vision. So thank you, Scott, for doing that.
I mean, it had to be done. Thank you. But if we didn't, we would have gone silent. Not only would that have been a bad business practice, let's face it, Safe Schools is underwritten by donors. Nobody wants to donate to programs that don't exist for whatever reason. They might not exist. So we had to do it. But it's also acknowledging the fact that the digital world is where kids, and as I come up on the age of 60, kids, people in their 40s, but that's where people are interacting and getting their information and getting their news and everything else. It was stupid if we were to just simply try to keep doing things the way we were doing them. I think if Don't Say Gay hadn't come along, we'd still be doing digital stuff. It probably just wouldn't have been as good or as fast because it became a necessity. But I'll shut up right now, but I could tell other stories about ways that it's opening doors for us now for the future.
I think also it's interesting because with the Queer History 101, when I was going to the schools and I mentioned that show, they were like, is that okay for you to play it? Is that okay for, I'm like, first off, it's a short video. It's maybe 5 minutes tops. So if you have a short attention span, you're going to be okay, And also I was like, it's informative. These are historical events and historical people that we're not even you're not going to get taught. And you need to know your history so you don't repeat it, and you can find yourself represented in people in the past. But also there are people right now making history that are part of the LGBTQ+, and shining a light on the past and also the present. And that way the future is unlimited, and Safe Schools doing that digital programming, it started with just 2 shows. And now there's a 3rd show in the mix, which is called Taboo Talk. And it's a show that is hosted by a student right now. And they're talking about safe sex in the LGBTQ+ community, which, of course, the show goes, that's a very big taboo topic. It was teenagers, intimacy? No, that's not happening. It's well, let's be honest. Let's be very for real right now. We were all teenagers once. So, I'm not even going to go into that. But the thing is, we even did it a short clip at the Florida AIDS Walk that we walked with these students. And we were just now is the perfect time to do a little segment on this topic, because this is what your show is all about, and it's just getting that information out there and just literally showing that we are in the community. And I agree with Scott that right now it's we're now starting to get traction. We're now starting, other people are seeing what we're getting out there. And now other people are oh, maybe we should follow in their footsteps. They seem to know the formula. So let's also join the bandwagon. And I feel like eventually it's going to have a snowball effect, and it's going to be something very big. And who knows, like maybe Safe Schools will have an actual like TV show, like not TV show, a TV channel, like, you know, that you can like pull up or like watch on like Pluto TV and just like watch just shows playing, you know, and, you know, or something even bigger of being like, you know, being international. I know that Safe Schools had an opportunity because we had a Japanese film crew, if I'm correct. Harold could correct me or not, interview us. And like, because of one, the Japanese were also now finally being okay with like, you know, the LGBTQ plus and okaying same-sex marriages. And so they were like, we saw what you guys did and we want to interview you guys. And we were just like, okay, like this, okay, this is like really crazy, but okay, this works too, you know? And it's just like bringing to light that like there are so many people in our community across the country and across the world. And like, if we can build a digital community to eventually get to a physical in-person community, I think that's like, you know, the goal at the end of the day.
Yeah. And just this week, we started conversations, and I won't name the organization because everything's not ironed out yet, but we started conversations with a national clothing organization about our influencers doing television and video stuff for their channels that would be cross-promoted and, you know, cross-branded. And that's like super exciting. You know, it represents a point of us monetizing the programming we've been putting so much effort into, but it's showing you that other people, they see Tiffany and they see Eddie and they're like, excuse me. They're excited. Sorry, but you know, it's sorry about that. It's just super exciting that you know, others are starting to notice what we're doing and want to get in on it too. So thank you, Tiffany, for always being such a smiling face.
I think within teacher spaces, one privilege that I've had access to, through the CDC, there was a program called Promoting Adolescent Health. It was the 1807 grant. And what it was for is, in part, what we call safe and supportive environment work. And in partnership between the American Psychological Association and Children's Hospital LA, they've been putting on GSA roundtables monthly. And it's hosted through Zoom. It's an opportunity for educators to get information from experts. And they're hour-long segments. The benefit is that they are conversations that are happening nationally because it's all PAH 1807 partner school districts that are allowed to participate. And as a teacher who doesn't have a ton of resources at their disposal, having the opportunity to hear about other districts that are under similar constraints and how they are making things work, it is an instant community in a way, and there's a level of camaraderie that exists to hopefully get us forward. And thinking outside of just digital resources, I'm a geriatric millennial, right? Going to physical libraries and having young people talk about having access to just a librarian to hear stories that have been cut off or stories that they are afraid to access from their phones has been an interesting conversation that I didn't expect to have with Generation Alpha and with Gen Z kids.
Yeah. And to mention something that Tiffany said, like what I love about what Safe Schools did when it comes to our digital push is that it really did, it percolated some form of creativity among others, that they also started doing things like it, and they moved themselves to the digital space. And what that is a good thing for everybody, because it that sense of collective creativity really strengthens us, strengthens them, strengthens the whole entire community, as we're now pumping out content in ways that we never did before. And I would like to think that Safe Schools was one of the first to do that, and to really inspire others to do it. And that, to me, just, it's like, yes, bring it on. Like, let's make more content. Let's partner up. Let's do things together. Let's really tell our stories in new and creative ways that we wouldn't have been able to do before because we weren't in these spaces together. And I think that has been a great thing for us, for all of us.
Like on an annual basis, Safe Schools would put on 1 or 2 Diversity Day type of events that would bring in 250 or 300 kids each. We'd have little smaller things happen in schools. So you could say for years, we probably made contact with like, I'll round it up, 1,500 kids per year in a school year. Now we put out a video on TikTok and it gets 73,000 views. I mean, the reach, the scope, the number of eyeballs, it's stunning, but it's uplifting.
Yeah.
What do you all think about the potential TikTok ban and how that could affect just access to this type of content?
They'll sell it to an American company.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're not concerned.
No,
Capitalism will take care of
trust me,
it.
Right. And it did cross my mind because that TikTok is the platform on which we're most popular. Not Facebook, which is where all the old people like me are hanging out.
The geriatric millennials.
But it did make me worry because it's like, wow, if that were to disappear for us, there go all of those viewers and all of that time spent building it up. But then, as I heard more and more, I was just like, they're gonna, they'll transfer rights to Billy Bob in the state of Alabama, and it'll be an American company now, and it'll be all good.
Yeah, and I think it is, but it is a way to kind of silence youth because youth really do consume a lot of content through TikTok. So I get it. I understand. I mean, I understand why they want to sell it off because of data privacy, and China's not exactly the best when it comes to data. But like I said, I think with Scott's right, it's like, and Kyle, capitalism will figure it out, and like it usually does, and TikTok will be just fine.
My worry is that if they called TikTok a Chinese company, they could call any company a Chinese company. Their CEO is from Singapore, and they're a Singaporean company. Our data is stored in American databases, and if they say, oh, they have a headquarters in China, any company has a headquarters in China. I mean, that's where business is being done now. So that's my principal worry. Like, you're talking about the concerns with selling data. Facebook is also selling data. Instagram does that. So why TikTok specifically? Is it a fear of like youth being organized?
Yes, it is, because of what I had mentioned earlier about TikTok is like, you're seeing it live in action. Like, you can't fake some of the stuff you see on TikTok. And the thing is that people are creating communities, and the bigger companies and the bigger government are seeing that, and they're worried. They're really worried that the people are not going to rely on the government, and they're going to rely on each other, and that would not benefit them.
Well, think about what happened in 2016, right? TikTok was leveraged by young voters to humiliate certain politicians.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked really well.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of this fear around China is just anti-Asian rhetoric. When China owns the majority of our debt, like, you have to blame somebody. But I think, like we said before, capitalism is going to figure this out. Even if it's not TikTok in its next iteration, I don't see it going anywhere.
Yeah.
I see it just changing hands.
Yeah.